You guys know how much I hate saying I told you so, right? Oh man, do I hate telling someone I told you so. I hate it about as much as telling a YouTuber to go fuck himself. Motherfucker, I told you so. And even Stevie Wonder could see this shit coming. Now, before I start, I have to give thanks to one of my longtime subscribers for the season pass, because otherwise, I wasn't going to buy this bullshit. And chances are, I would have finally left my addiction to Destiny behind for good. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, on to the business at hand, The Dark Below. Since the game released, I said the content was going to be a pile of shit. Since the leak of the content, I said that this content wasn't going to be an expansion pass, and that Activision should have considered lowering the price or offering up a third or fourth DLC pack to season pass holders, basically to make up for the lack of content that we're not getting. And just last week as the DLC hit, I said this was going to be one big pile of shit. Well, guess what? It's one big pile of shit. And worst of all, it screws with people who don't have the DLC. So if you went into this DLC with high expectations, or assuming this content would capitalize on the game's potential, you were going about this all wrong. I'll start from the very beginning. Bungie says they're listening to us. I believe that part is true, because what they're not saying is that they're actually doing something about our complaints. Think about it. Deej is very smart. He doesn't say the developers aren't fixing shit right now. He says, we're listening. Just because you hear something doesn't mean you're taking action. Just because you hear your next door neighbor screaming for help and you don't call the police, that doesn't mean you did anything. You hear a cry for help. Did you follow through? No, of course not. So when the police come and say, what did you do? Oh, I heard the screams, but I didn't do shit. Bungie is listening, but they're not acting on any of our complaints. Case in point, the story. The biggest critique of this game has been the paper-thin story and the plot. On top of selling us an incomplete game, they gave us no story. So when the marketing blitz for the DLC started, we were told they heard us on the plot and they were developing better storytelling techniques for the DLC. You know what they did? They cut Dinklebitch out of the project. Instead of that ghost telling us what we have to do now they have Eris telling us what to do. But at the end of the mission, what story do we get out of this? Nothing. Why do we need to fight Stardock or Sardon, whatever the fuck his name is? Why am I saving Rasputin? Shit, if the Cabal couldn't crack him, the Vex couldn't hack him, what the fuck the Hive gonna do? They're a bunch of mindless zombies and shit like that. I get the Crota part. The Hive are trying to raise their gun. Fine, cool. But that was the one and only piece of added info in the game. We got no cutscenes, although we probably couldn't skip it if they added them anyway. These fucking cutscenes. Why is there no skip button? Anyway, we got no background on Eris other than she fought Crota and lost. So the biggest issue with the $60 game now plagues the $20 game. Good job trolling people, Bungie. Then again, if you knew what was coming, you expected this. The missions themselves are fucking embarrassing. The first one occurs only one time, and once you do it, you can never do it again. What the fuck? I thought you said there were 3 story missions. How come I can't do this shit again? If you're gonna say there are 3 stories, I want to play 3 fucking stories. Holy shit. People knew the stories were gonna be crap and the gameplay was gonna be the same shit. But at least give me the 3 I was fucking told I was gonna get. You fucking scumbags, man. Now, Bungie positioned this Eris crap as quests. Quests that make you feel like you're doing something different. Well, let's see this for a minute. I have a random chick who shows up at the tower. Her ship is sitting behind her as if it's a taxi waiting to leave at any minute. She sells me items and shit I can wear and use, tells me to kill someone without any story behind it other than it has to do with Crota, tells us contradicting stories about Crota and how we saved the city and how the Hive are starting an invasion, yet at no point do we ever see any sign of that shit, gives me an extra balance to complete on a daily basis for more XP, has a reputation system to rank up all my shit, basically doing all these quests, and at no point in time does she add anything to the story. Does this sound familiar? Of course it does, because these were the Queef challenge all over again. What the fuck? We just did the Queef shit in October and it was an utter fucking failure. And that shit was free. People have to pay for this shit. But meanwhile, the garbage with the Queef deal was just an added patch to the game. Again, 100% free. And now we're doing the same fucking things, reskinned as different content, pretty much identical, but this time we had to pay for it. God damn it, Bungie, really? Every fucking thing wrong with the Queen missions is pretty much the same shit here. After you finish the 1 hour's worth of content doing the Earn Sacrifice mission, which rewards you with garbage, there's no purpose to this fucking pack. You call this shit an expansion pack, but what exactly did you expand? You gave us that area with Rasputin, whatever the fuck it is, the Raz 2 Vault or some shit, I don't know what the fuck it is, and that area where we had to fight the people reviving Crota. Only here's the best part. All of that geometry was already in the fucking game to begin with. People got into that bunker during the beta, motherfucker, so that shit has been there for a long goddamn time. The Crota area was also glitched into not too long ago, and that's more map area that's already on the disc. You didn't expand shit. You gave us a patch to unlock doors, motherfucker. That's all we got, a patch to unlock doors. And Crota's raid, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, because I'm still on this lock content shit. The single most fucked up cunt picker move was jerking those around who didn't purchase the DLC. Before this crap was released, people were told that if you decided not to opt in, there would still be content for you. Well, fuck me, that was wrong now, wasn't it? Nightfall and the weekly strike were locked out because this week was set to the new Will of Crota mission. If you don't have the DLC, you can't play Nightfall this week. The daily story was also one of the DLC missions this week. So right there, you know something's fucked up. You know, it's one thing if Bungie rolled out a separate DLC Nightfall for the participants of the content. It's another thing when the weekly event that people look forward to for the best rewards and bonus XP is locked out for those not willing to participate and take part in your ransom. And granted, Nightfall goes back to normal. We'll go back to the normal rotation of strikes again, but the issue remains. Why were people who didn't feed your greed asked out of the content? Why wasn't there 2 Nightfalls this week, the regular and the DLC one? And to know this is going to be added to the rotation and occur in the future is pretty fucked up. You said opting out of the content would not limit people, but sure enough, it does, you lying motherfucker. I don't care if it's just for 1 week. There's no reason content should be removed, limited, or locked for people who paid $60 for the game where the content was already there in the first place. Doesn't matter if it was for a day or a week, you're restricting content players already had access to when they initially bought the game. And with your game being so limited, people want to have access to all the content. Again, if you had a separate DLC Nightfall, this wouldn't be an issue, but you fuck people over for the sake of money. You purposely have not added the Dust Palace Strike mission to the Nightfall, knowing Xbox players wouldn't have access to it. So, if you're willing to separate out content that people don't have access to because they didn't pay for a different console, then why isn't that same logic applied to the people who didn't pay for the DLC? The Vanguard Strike missions also fucked over. The highest level right now before this DLC was level 24 strikes, or the Tiger, whatever the fuck it is. But the new level 26 strikes, are rock, or whatever the fuck you want to call these shits, are the ones that now have the engrams. The older ones do not. Once again, rewards and potential content is locked out to people not paying your ransom. Why can't the level 24 and 26 both have engrams? Why do you remove shit from players who paid $60 for the game, got content for their $60, and now being told their $60 isn't enough? Why can't they have the rock missions? It's not like some massive piece of DLC locked behind a door or anything. It's the same missions over and over and over again, only 2 levels higher than normal. Those who don't have the DLC would be fine with the idea if there was just a second Nightfall for DLC players. They would be fine with the engram rewards if there was both for 26 and the 24 strike, or just giving them that flat out 26. What the fuck is the difference? But you're stripping away content for the sake of making it look like players who spent money are getting more. This couldn't be more fucked up, and it's pretty much a slap in the face to your fucking fan base. It only motivates people more to leave this game for good and find something else. Thus, you lose a sale and more money. Bungie Vision, that's what I'm gonna call you assholes now, is more concerned with short-term dollars over long-term dollars, and that is a horrible business model. Granted, you made $500 million real fucking quick on this game, but do you really think you're gonna make $500 million the next time if you continue this bullshit on for another 2 to 3 fucking years? No, you're not. People will eventually smarten up. Now, the only decent thing this pack came up with was the raid. People paid $20 for a fucking raid. I do like the raid, though. A bit short compared to the Vault of Glass, but overall, it's pretty good. I have some issues with the raid. We'll probably do a Vault of Glass comparison to Crota's End, but it's the most entertaining piece of content that we got. It really is the only part of this game that requires teamwork and competent teammates. Yes, you can carry 1 person or so in each raid, but that's about it. People need to know their foot from their ass to survive the raid, and that's the way it should be. I mean, Crota's End does come with its share of flaws, especially when you compare it to the Vault of Glass, but again, I will do a full comparison video on that shit later. Part of the issue is depending on 1 person to be the sword carrier. Another is the length of time needed. It's far shorter than the Vault of Glass, which is either a good thing or bad thing depending on how you want to look at that motherfucker. Again, I'll go into the detail in its own video, but my personal beef with Crota's End is the artificial difficulty added to the game, whereas at level 30 you were basically taking on level 32 enemies, and the new loot system requiring different material. Again, I'll detail all of that shit in a future video because I want to focus on the good parts right now. Considering how worthless the rest of the shit in the DLC is, the raid is the only thing of value worth having. Is it worth $20? Hell fucking no. Is any of this worth $20? Hell no. And that's the biggest issue with Destiny. Nothing they've released has been remotely close to the value compared to other games. Yes, I've sunk 300 hours into this motherfucker. I play it daily. I do all the repeat content shit to grind out rewards because basically the gameplay itself is fun. But from a content standpoint, games like Dragon Age blow it out of the water. Games like Mass Effect have a shit ton more content And variety in their missions and characters with personality. Destiny doesn't. Never has, and judging by the DLC, never will. So to charge people $20, and yes, I use $20 as the reference point, not the expansion pack price of $17.50 per pack, but even that is a total ripoff. The only really thing new we got is the raid. The other content is a reskinned Queef event with a patch to unlock doors and populate areas with enemies. It's a patch to fuck over our guns and make all the progress we had at the beginning of the games essentially worthless. For those who will be playing this game until the next DLC, you also have to understand your progress here could also potentially be worthless. If they make your items obsolete once again in the House of Wolves DLC, then it's the same hamster wheel all over again. Earn your shit, rank it up again, and then have the option to lose it all because Bungie doesn't have a way of making you play the game longer through content. They have to artificially extend the life of the game through fucking with your inventory and items you've already earned and already progressed through. Back when the game came out, just a week after it, I was already saying they need to lower the price of the DLC, and by not doing so, it's essentially going to piss people off and they will leave the game. And with this DLC being underwhelming as an expansion pack, Activision is well on their way to driving another franchise into the ground. This one's basically only got one game. 3 months into this motherfucker, they're already screwing with that shit. You know, had the DLC been $8 to $12, you would probably have less complaints. But it was overpriced, and people knew that going into the game, and they knew it wasn't going to be anything special. Destiny seriously needs a ton of help to make this game the way it was marketed when it initially was shown. And this DLC is not going to help that. And chances are the next DLC pack isn't going to help either. But seriously, Bungie, just pay attention to my damn Blueprint series, and that's the way you'll be able to get your shit together. Anyways, anyone that plays the Dark Below, you knew this shit was coming. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all the good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.